Hello guys, hope you can hear me. I know I'm a little bit above the camera, I'm backlit as well, I do apologise. I am down, you see the crane in the background, but what you can't see, if I turn you around ever so slightly, is the shipwreck is just there. And let me turn you back so I can talk to you. And I wanted to say that I'm okay, don't worry, I'm by myself, no one's down here with me. And from the house to the car to the car park, and from the car park to here, I didn't come in contact with anyone. This is going to be my exercise for the day, but I am fairly concerned that it's probably going to be one of the last going outy videos that I do for a while, because I think the government's going to change their rules this week. So I wanted to do a live stream because I've had to sort of cancel my workshops and stuff, and I'm looking for other avenues of let me see if I can get the chat up. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can bring up the chat. Because if you've got anything to say, guys, all messages are visible. If you've got any questions to ask me while I do this, by the way, just let me know. Ian Bauer, good day, sir. Where are you from, Ian? Let me know. As I talk through, just comment and chat whatever you can, and I'll try and answer any questions you might have. Just want to say hello. Absolutely, say hello, and I'll try and say hello back. If I don't catch it, I apologise. It's very windy today, guys. I do apologise if there's any wind noise. I put my my coat. It's kind of leant over my mic, so hopefully it kind of catches a bit of the wind. Margaret, hi Margaret. Good to have you here. There might be a lag as well, by the way, in the chat. You may post something, I may not see it for a while. Southampton now, so we've got, is that Sizer? Afternoon from Southampton now in Lincolnshire. The screen, I'm backlit, so I'm very dark, and my screen is currently showing the sun, which is just above me there, so I can't always see it very well, but I'll do my best. Today, guys, I'm going to do like a full-on workshop type thing. I got Ian. I was born in Southsea, now in I think it's is that Lancaster? You're supposed to be near Stratford upon Avon. Cool. Excellent. I'm going to try and do a whole thing today. Paul, good to have you, Paul. Recognise where I am. Yeah, I think you're down here a few times with me, Paul, I think. And let me know what the audio's like, guys. Good, you're fine, Margaret. The wind does pick up quite a bit, but let me know how the audio's coming out. Can you hear me okay? What's the wind like? Give us a shout. I'm going to do my best to try and cover the mic with my jacket. But I'm going to try and do a whole audio. Good. Excellent. Thanks, Paul. You're fine. Cheers, Margaret. Excellent. I'm going to try and do a whole kind of workshop-y type live thing. I've never done this before. Audio's fine. Excellent. Thank you there for Makash, Paul. Brilliant. Never done this before. I'm actually quite nervous, funny enough. Sounds fine. Excellent. I've done a kind of behind the scenes video to go along with this. I'm going to put out maybe later or tomorrow, so you probably get an idea of how nervous I've been on the way up to this video, because I've never really done the live thing before. I've set my camera up and just shot live when I think I did a what did I do? I think it was up to Whackton Ruins. I did a horror shoot with Miss Nancy ages ago, so I set my camera up and just shot live, and actually it came out okay. It was alright, but I've never really done a talky live video before. But with what's going on at the moment, I think I have to change up how I work, and I think going live, maybe doing workshops, maybe live. Excuse me. I've just eaten. Sorry, I just had some food before I went live. So going live is probably going to be what I'm going to be looking at. You're doing great. Cheers, Nikki. Looking at over the next coming weeks and months, I'm looking at a bit of software called Zoom. It's like a conferencing software, so you can go live and actually have FaceTime, talk to people. So my workshops that I do for like beginner workshops will probably go that way, hopefully. I'll work that out. I don't know what cost is involved in that yet. I know there's a free version of it, but I think there's a limited time and amount of people you can have on your kind of little conferencing call thing. But just so you know, yeah, I'm down here, I'm okay. I've got some water, got some food with me, Hopefully we're going to be about an hour, maybe a bit longer if I can. I've got a couple of battery packs with me, so my phone shouldn't run out of battery, but you never know, right? And I'm going to do a kind of, from a beginner setup, landscape photography type live stream. I don't know how this is going to go. It may not work. We may cut it short. I just don't know yet. The motorway is just behind me. You may hear cars now and again, but it's pretty quiet today for obvious reasons, so hopefully that won't be a big deal. And if the audio does get bad, guys, just someone just mention in the chat, and I'll just try and jiggle around my jacket that's covering the mic at the moment. Or if you lose audio completely, it's probably because my jacket's covered the mic. So I'm down here now. I've walked over from Port Solent. I don't know if you know how to get down here. Some of you, I know Paul's been down here with me before, and Margaret. You actually park at Port Solent and walk over and you know, make it down here as best you can. And it's about a mile walk, so that's my exercise for the day, and you know, the walk back could be my exercise as well. But not many people come down here, so it's awesome to get down here. And I haven't been down here for a long time when the tide's in, and I coincided this live stream with a high tide. I did that on purpose last week when I was thinking about doing this kind of thing. I would have liked to have come down here at sunset. It probably would have meant that I would have caught more of my American viewership, because I've got quite a lot of people in America to follow me, and I'm sorry it's probably too early in the morning for those guys to be awake and watching this. If there is anyone from America, please drop a comment and I'll say hi. So I wanted to just coincide this with high tide, because I want to get some nice pictures of it. It's probably going to be the last time I'm out for a while. I kind of expect the government to be making the rules about going out a bit more strict in the UK over the coming week or so. Although I think what they're doing at the moment is pretty awesome, and it's kind of working, I think. You just don't know, and I think they're just gonna you know, maybe do more of a curfew type thing, and I know they're stopping cars at the moment and asking them where they're going and that kind of thing. This is my exercise for the day. I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing. I'm alone, there's no one else around me, and I haven't come into contact with anyone. You got a TV buddy, live screen, nice one, good stuff, Paul. I hope that's 4K. I don't know if my video coming out this thing is 4K. I think it's only 1080p, so it might be useless. If you've got an 8K TV, it's not going to be any use at all. So yes, I'm pretty alone, and you know, I'm happy to come down here. Large as life. Oh, nice one, well done, Margaret. You're on TV as well. And you know, giving you a bit of background, my Mrs. Samantha, she's pregnant at the moment. Must be scary, Paul. So I'm being uber careful at the moment. I'm being so paranoid about where I go, who I come in contact with, what I touch, that kind of stuff. And I've even got a whole like decontamination procedure when I go home. You know, I put all my clothes in the washing machine, go and have a bath and stuff like that. Make sure I'm really clean when I go back in the house. So I'm not doing anything dangerous. I'm not out here, you know, just for the fun of it. It's probably going to be the last time I come out for a while. So I just want to make this a little bit special, really. So what I'm going to do as well, if you're watching this after the live, because this is obviously going to be recorded to my YouTube channel, and you might be watching this later. Hi there. Hey, Gozzo, that's my nephew. Good lad. Yeah, if you're watching this after the fact, after it goes live, I'm going to go back and have a look at what points I start talking about different things. So you'll see like a time index in the description below. So you may not have to watch the whole hour if it goes an hour. You may just want to skip to the certain parts you want to watch. So have a look in the description for those of you watching it later on. And like I said, I've also done a bit of a behind the scenes as well, so I'm going to put that out as quick as I can. I'm leaning over so you can see me, because if I sit up straight, I'm like that. You get to see the nice view, but you can't see me. Whatever. So if we start this little kind of workshop thingy, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm just going to start explaining to you what I do, the process I take when I come to a location as I mean, this is an awesome location. I love coming down here. But I'm just going to talk over a few things, then later on we're going to talk about long exposure stuff. I'm going to talk about time lapses, because I know Paul's got a question about time lapses. And maybe a few other bits and pieces. If anyone's got any questions or any ideas they want me to talk about certain parts of photography, or you know, how I do stuff myself, just drop a comment. I'll try and read the comments as they come in. Naughty coughing into your hand. You know, you're right, Ian. The thing is, I'm being uber vigilant, and I have got wipes. I've been wiping my hand down like a good one. I'm not touching my face without, sorry, I know I'm moving the camera. I'm not touching my face without using these little bad boys. Thankfully, my missus works in the NHS and gets me lots of these, so I do have a lot of hand wipes with me. My hands are clean, honestly. My hands clean, my kit's clean. Nothing about me touching my face is gonna pass anything on to me at the moment. Okay, I know we can't guarantee that, but I am being safe, mate. Trust me. And I've got a little bit of a cough. I've had a cough for years. I just have a cough. So if you hear me cough, don't go all funny. All right, Jay, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, my little throaty cough I've had for a very long time since I stopped smoking about 15 years ago. I've just never been able to get rid of it. So don't worry too much if I do cough. Good man. Well done, Ian. Yeah. Always keep me safe, mate. Like I say, I'm being uber paranoid about what's going on at the moment, and I'm just being as safe as I can. Like I say, I don't think anyone's been down here for a few weeks, so I'm not really touching anything around me as such. I did move some of the prickles out of the way so I could sit down. Yes, I have had a shave. Davin, I'll talk about that in a minute, because the elephant in the room, I'm going to explain why I had a shave. A lot of you may look back on my videos and think that, you know, I'm usually supporting a beard, and that's right. I'll explain that in a second before I get started. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that I am being very safe. I've got a bottle of water that I wiped down before I came out of the house. I've got some food in a bag. It's all safe. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. So don't worry too much, guys. If I do cough into my hands, I'm pretty clean. Anyway, about the beard, and it is a good point, because Samantha and I, we run a charity group called Hampshire Cosplay for Charity, and at the moment there are a lot of children who have birthdays who can't have a birthday party or speak to their friends. A lot of their family can't come around and stuff like that. So what we've done, we've teamed up with a charity in Basingstoke called, now let me think, From Lear with Love, and they're a charity that help out parents of unborn and stillborn babies, that kind of stuff. And we are creating birthday messages for those kids who are having birthdays, and as characters. So I cosplay, because we're Hampshire Cosplay for Charity, so I cosplay a few different characters. One of them happens to be Batman, Davin, and Batman doesn't have a beard. I have to explain that to Samantha's youngest, or current youngest, quite a bit, because whenever he sees me without a beard, he thinks it's really, really bad. But it's because Batman doesn't have a beard, so I have to do a little bit of a shave. But it'll grow back, won't be long. I'm yapping. If you think I'm yapping, just tell me and I'll get cracking. Okay, so let's talk about photography. So when you get to a location, and by the way, like I said earlier on, I've timed this with high tide. Let me know if that wind is really bad, by the way. I've timed this with high tide, so I've done all my research, and that's the first part of my photography, especially landscape photography, is research. If you see any of my videos, I'm always banging on about doing your research beforehand. And all the apps I use are on a video that I've done ages ago. I can't show them at the moment because I'm using my phone. I'm yapping. I'm yipping. Cheers, Bruce. I'll carry on yipping. I am yapping. Sorry, mate. So my first sort of procedure, if you like, is to get on the apps, research. If I'm doing anything with a seascape, I'm gonna want to know what the tide's doing. And today, like I said, I coincided my time with you guys down here at high tide, because I know getting long exposures at high tide is pretty awesome around the shipwreck. So that is one thing. And again, I did that a week ago, so all the apps I used, you know, what the sun's going to be doing, is it going to be a nice day, the weather apps, all that kind of rubbish. I spend, you know, a good hour sat down. I'm getting distracted. I am. Sat down with all the apps, looking at what's what, and you know, where I'm going to be at a particular time. If it's a sunset, I want to know where the sun is setting, and you know, comparable to where I'm sat. There's a lot of apps out there. I can't explain them to you right now because I'm coming to you via my phone, so I can't even show you those. But I do have a couple of videos. If you're watching this after the fact, go back and have a crack. Cheers, Paul. I'll keep shaving for you then, mate. So yeah, that's my first step, is to do my research, and then when I'm on site, you know, sometimes where I wanted to be may not be where I'm going to be, so I have to move around a little bit, and that just is what it is, guys. You're going to get to some of these locations, it might not quite be right, because I do a lot of stuff via Google Maps. If I haven't been there before, I don't know where particularly I'm going to be actually setting up. So when you get down there, you might want to just allow a little bit extra time to get sorted, and you'll be fine. You'll find another little location somewhere. By the way, if you ever come down to Shipwreck, there's a path that just runs alongside the main motorway or highway if you're from the US, and the fence that kind of cuts off the sea, if you like, is open in about 3 or 4 different locations, so you can get some different stuff to use. Yes, I do, mate. Yeah, Bruce, I use that a lot, mate. Yeah, absolutely. If you look at any of my well, you can't at the moment because I haven't got any workshops. All my workshops, if I do on a location, I explain to people now to use what 3 words, and that's a good point actually. I'll talk about that in a second, because that's probably a really good app for people who don't know what it is. So I get down here, and yeah, so down here there's about 3 or 4 different holes in the fence, if you like, where you can get through and look at where the shipwreck is and stuff. And depending on where the sun's setting throughout the year, where do you part visiting the shipwreck? Oh yeah, okay, Nathan, you might have missed the beginning of the video, buddy. You park at Port Solent and then walk over the hill. I've got a video on how to get here, done like over a year ago now. Worth having a look back, mate. They have put a fence up, but if you go along the fence a little bit, there's a little hole in the fence that you can get through. So yeah, so when you get down here, depending on where the sun is setting at different times of the year, you might choose one of the 3 or 4 different locations to look through the fence to get the sun setting behind the shipwreck. Because I think this time of year, sun sets, you won't be able to, it's off camera there. Sunset's pretty much behind where I'm sat, behind the oh, Ryan, nice work, mate. Good stuff. Do you have issues getting on? Was there a problem with the link or anything? Let me know. The sunset's kind of right behind the shipwreck from where I am at the moment, and then as the year goes on, it sets further north, and then again as it gets closer to Christmas, it starts going back again after summer. So when you get down there, you might find that there's different. Too many people will visit it soon now. No. Trust me, mate. People don't come down here. I've been yapping about this place for ages, Paul. No, mate. I'm a bit of a trying to find it on Facebook. Oh, okay, mate. Yeah, sorry, dude. I did try and put the link all over the place for YouTube, but glad you got on, buddy. Paul, seriously, mate. People don't still. I've been coming down here 2 years now, and I bring pretty large groups down here. And I still find it quiet every time I come down here by myself. If I need to do any video work or anything like that and I want to be by myself, it's a place I come. There's no one comes down here. I even go on a few groups locally for like local Portsmouth photographers, and they still don't know. Right, it's all good, mate. It's me. They're still, you know, I'll show them a picture of the shipwreck. Like, oh, where's that? And like, you drive past it pretty much every day. If you go out of town, for those of you who live in Portsmouth, you literally can see this as you drive on the motorway. But there's those people who just, I don't know, I guess they're on autopilot, don't kind of see it on their on their little trek out of town. So yeah, so when you're on site, oh, what 3 words? Oh yeah, Bruce. What 3 words is an awesome website. If you haven't ever used it, honestly, it will change the way you use Google Maps for a start. Google Maps uses like longitude and latitude references. And What 3 Words was created by a couple of guys, I think it was Australia or somewhere down that way, whereby any I think it's a 3 meter by 3 meter point anywhere on the earth can be pinpointed by 3 words. So let me do a time lapse from there. Might be a walk one. Yeah, definitely, Paul. I was going to do a time lapse today, but there's no clouds in the sky, and the water's not doing a whole lot, so it's not really going to make much difference. It's not a chance to get down here yet. Davin, it's an awesome place to come, mate. Awesome place to come. So yeah, What 3 Words, guys and girls, is an awesome app. And Bruce, you're absolutely right. I use it pretty much everywhere on my workshops. If I need to explain to someone where, especially the London workshop, where I meet everyone by the roadside, and guaranteed every time I do it, even though I explain it quite well in my on my workshop page, guaranteed 1 or 2 people won't be able to find me. I'm stood in the middle of the front by Belvedere Road. But now I use What 3 Words, people find it really easy. It's just a really good way of pinpointing your exact location. And you can do that live as well. So if you want to let someone know where you are exactly right now, you can go on the What 3 Words app or website and pinpoint your location and just send it off to someone. And it uses Google Maps API to translate the longitude and latitude into 3 words. It's pretty damn amazing, to be fair. I do use it a lot, but I use a lot of apps, as you guys well know. So yeah, back to it, because again I'm waffling. Back to setting up. So I'm now set up on a tripod, and I generally always use a tripod for landscape photography. You don't always have to. I've done a lot of stuff, travel photography, where you know you're running and gunning and stuff, and you're not really got time to set it up. Sometimes in London I won't set it up if I'm doing a shot of something. I want to get a quick shot of it. As long as my shutter speed is fairly good, handheld is good enough. But generally on a tripod, I've got my new Vanguard here, which is pretty steady. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can just see the top of my camera there. Always have this on. This is my little handguard there. Happy Andy, yeah, nice one, mate. Yeah. You got to remember, if you're doing anything like long exposures or time lapses, this flapping in the wind is going to move your camera sometimes, depending on your tripod. My tripod's pretty good actually, so it doesn't really affect it. I know someone mentioned that on, I think, one of my videos last week. So it's setting up for a landscape shot, and this is you know, I think I've done a video on it at some point, is actually a lot easier than you think if you're shooting manual. All you need to know is there's a couple of really simple, easy steps. You're going to be starting with your ISO. So my ISO is always going to be 100 during the day and right throughout, you know, upwards towards blue hour. And I'll explain why I use ISO 100 in a second. Mainly it's because I want a clear, sharp image with no noise in it. But I can do that because I'm on a tripod. And then I'm going to look at my aperture. Because I'm doing landscape photography, I want everything in focus, and my aperture is going to be somewhere generally around f11, which is kind of the middle of the road aperture, and it's going to give me everything in focus from what I'm actually focusing on to the foreground, and what I'm actually focusing on to the background, quite importantly. And depending on how close or far you are from that subject, you may need to mess around with that a little bit. You know, if I'm focusing on something really close down here, my background is going to be out of focus even at f11. But you are, yeah, cheers, mate. Salad zone often, I like it. I'll take that. Yeah, so that's my aperture. That's step 2, and then step 3, I just use my shutter speed to get my meter. Generally, my meter is going to be good enough to give me a good exposure back to 0, and that's it. And because I'm on a tripod, it doesn't matter what my shutter speed is, which is why I can keep my ISO at 100. Does that make sense? I don't want to simplify it too much where people don't understand it, but that's as easy as it has to be. It doesn't have to be any more difficult than that. ISO 100, f11, and then use your shutter speed. Unless you want to portray some kind of movement in your image, it doesn't matter what your shutter speed is. So, for instance, if you wanted to blur the water out, obviously you have to use your shutter speed and stuff, long exposure stuff. So I've just got a message from someone, that's all. Miss Nancy, if you're there and you're watching this, thanks for your message. Yeah, we'll have to shoot down here at some point. So, and that's it. That's my basic photography lesson, if you like, for landscape photography. On a tripod, ISO 100, f11, and then your shutter speed is whatever you need it to be. And then you can start becoming creative later when you start doing things like long exposure or anything else, you know, using movement in your image, like you know, panning movement shots. Obviously you have to mess around with your stuff then, but that's your basic settings done. Why f11? Pull f11 because I get everything in focus. If I'm wide open and I'm shooting a shipwreck, even though it's a good way away, there's a good potential that the background's going to be out of focus. And it's a landscape shot. I want everything to be in focus. Ben, does full frame? Let me see if I can see it. Does full frame high resolution matter with digital delivery? Not many people printing photos. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point, Ben. If you're shooting for social media, Instagram, anything like that, full frame probably isn't going to make a huge amount of difference at that kind of resolution. Shooting for billboards, yeah, if I want to shoot for massive billboard, yeah, the biggest resolution I can have is better. I like a big resolution, not for that though. I like a big resolution because I do a lot of time lapses. And my time lapses, I don't have anything where I can move my camera. I wish I did, but they're really expensive. So what I can do with a high resolution full frame time lapse is I can actually zoom in and zoom out without losing any the physical size of the files coming out of my A7R4 a billboard size. So by zooming in, I'm not losing any resolution. Charlie, yeah. Charlie Button, by the way, is my missus, because that's the, that's the account you used, the name on the account she used to set up. That's funny. All right, babe. Thanks, babe. Cheers. Coming out good. How's the sound? Does the sound good? Charlie Button. So yeah, Ben, it's a really good question. And like I've always said, your best camera is the one you've got on you at the time when you need it. And sometimes that's my phone. The resolution on my phone is pretty good. Pardon. Excellent. Thanks, Charlie. So I'm reading messages. So the resolution on my phone may not be that good. The sensor size on my phone is not as good as the sensor size on these things. So the resolution is affected massively. But you know what? If I'm shooting for Instagram, if I'm shooting a picture that I'm going to put on Instagram, it doesn't matter, because you're never going to see it. Horsey Island is behind me. Tiny bit of feedback now and again, but all good. Good. I've actually got my coat over the top of my phone, so hopefully the microphone's covered a little bit from the wind. But if it ever gets really bad, guys and girls, just drop me a message and I'll try and move things around a bit. So yes, I hope that makes sense, Ben. It really doesn't matter that, you know, for landscape photography, and this is what I tell people, that I find landscape photography is one of the hardest facets of photography you'll ever do, because you often have to tell a story out of nothing. Okay, I've got a nice shipwreck here, so that's my story. But often or not, if I've just got a flat landscape, I'll try and tell a story out of that. It doesn't matter what resolution camera you got, it's about the composition. So 80% of your work is in finding a composition, telling a story. You know, if you've got a technically bad image that looks good, but technically, something isn't quite right with it, and, you know, photographers will always pick those little bits, but, you know, generally speaking on Instagram, all the pictures that are liked are the ones that actually tell a story and stuff like that. So 80% of your work should be in the composition. Sound is fine. Just a motorway. Yeah, I know the motorway. There's more people out than I expected there to be fair. So yeah, but it is a good question there, Ben. Good question. I get asked that a lot. But like I say, you know, most photography, most facets of photography, you have a subject in front of it. So if you're shooting a wedding, you've got a bride and groom and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you've got buildings and stuff. Your story is being told every time you take a picture. But landscape photography is one of the hardest facets of photography to pull off, because often you need to tell a story out of nothing, and that's one of the hardest things I find about it. I'm not very technical. Well, I'm technically good at photography, but I'm not the best at finding a composition, so I struggle sometimes. It helps to have things like a shipwreck, or I love that crane. Paul, what do you think about the crane, Paul? We love that crane, don't we? You know you love it. So once I've got a picture, and that's why I use f11, Paul, because I want everything in focus. If I focus on something really close by, even at f11, that might not be enough, so you might have to bump that up to f22, or, you know, somewhere in between. The only times I generally close my aperture down even further is a little bit later on in the evening, when street lights come on and other stuff. Let's have a look. Sounds fine. Have you always done landscape primarily, or have you experimented with other forms? It's a good question, Nathan. I'll come to that in a second. So yeah, f11. Sometimes I'll narrow my aperture down to maybe f14, f16, something like that, to get the starburst effect. Which Paul? Sorry, PJ, not you, mate. The other Paul. So I'll go to f16 to get that starburst effect. It's like if you close your eyes and look at the light in your living room now, and if your light's on, and you close it, you really squint like that. You're really squinting at it. That's kind of what your aperture's doing. And when you do that with your eyes, you get that kind of sunburst, starburst effect in your eyes. It's the same kind of thing as your aperture in your camera, in your lens. When you close your aperture down really small, you get that starburst effect. So that's generally where I push my aperture further than f11 in landscape photography. Or if I'm doing long exposures and I need that extra time in my exposure, sometimes I'll push it to f22 to just give me a little bit extra, especially on a day like this where it's really sunny. You might need that extra darkness, you know, close down the light coming into your lens. yeah, so has anyone got any questions on, you know, your basic exposure? ISO 100, round f11, and then just use your shutter speed to get your exposure. Use your meter on the back of your camera on top if you've got a Canon or Nikon. I've got to move around a bit because my leg is going numb. I am in shorts. You'll be happy to know. Back in the shorts. I'm going to do a little bit of explaining on long exposure stuff, unless anyone's got any other questions. Did I answer Nathan's question? Let me have a look back. Sorry, Nathan, I don't think I answered you. Oh, I've always done landscapes. No, actually, Nathan, I started off with model photography. I was looking to get into wedding photography, and it was a wedding photographer who told me to start with models, because you're always going to work with the young girls who are eventually going to get married. And funny enough, he was right, because after 5 or 6 years of doing wedding photography, I ended up doing most of the models I'd worked with previously. But I've done other kinds of photography. I do a lot of product photography for companies. I've delved in, doing baby photography. Funny enough, there's someone over there. That's weird. Doing baby photography, but I didn't really get on too much with baby photography. Oh no, shorts, yeah. But I'll be getting back into that, obviously, because I've got my own baby on the way, and my baby's going to be photographed massively, as you'll probably imagine. But I've done pretty much all things. So I do interior design photography, so I do a lot of stuff for hotels. Hotels hire me to go in, and if they've done a revamp in the hotels, I'll shoot their rooms for them and sell the images off to them, or get a free hotel. So that's weird. So there's two guys over there. Weird. I wonder what they're up to. They're not social distancing, I know that much. Hey, they're getting quite close together. They've stopped and are turning back because they're going down a path that leads to the other side of here, and I think it's overgrown at the moment. Weird. So yeah, Nathan, that's kind of where I'm at with photography. So I do quite a few bits and pieces. It's not just landscapes. Landscapes are a passion. The other stuff kind of pays fairly well, but landscapes doesn't really pay, but it keeps my passion alive. So that's why I love doing landscape photography. I love to teach as well. It's always good. They're drinking heavily by the looks of it. They're carrying cans. They've got one can in their hand, and they're carrying a load of other cans, like a 6-pack each. I don't know why they come down here to have a drink. They're trying to get away from someone. Weird. Very weird. Do the guys you have spotted have blue lights flashing? No, actually, Paul Stone, they don't. They're definitely not police. They're a couple of little yattos by the looks of it. But they've just realised that they can't get around the other side because it's high tide. Douchebags. So putting it out there now, if something happens to me, it's because there's two guys coming out. It looks like they're just stopped over there. Green jacket and green cap. The other guy's wearing a blue top, long sleeve. Just so you know, in case something happens to me, just thought I'd put that out there. That's fun. Anyway, so back to it. So we're going to look at long exposure. Now, for long exposure photography, you are going to need, what do I do with it? A filter. This is, I don't know if you can see through it. No. Yeah, no, they're not wearing masks, Paul Baker. I'm going to have to call you PB and PS. They're not wearing masks. They're drinking quite heavily. So you're going to need a ND filter, especially for a day like this. This ND filter I've had for a very long time. It's about 11-12 years old, something like that. And do you always have to wait for gold and blue hour? Jay, I prefer to shoot in gold now and blue hour. I know there's photographers out there who shoot all during the day. The problem I have during the day is that if you look at everything around, if you can see anything, even me, when you light something with a harsh light like the sun, you're going to get harsh shadows, and you're not going to be able to do much about that. Even pulling the shadows up and bringing the highlights down in post, you're still going to get some harsh lines around areas that, when you shoot people, you're going to get harsh shadows under the nose, stuff like that. It's the same with things like the shipwreck at the moment. It's got really harsh shadows from the mast going down, and they're going back. And yeah, so I generally try and wait if I can for blue hour, sorry, golden hour. And you know, don't forget to wait for blue hour, because you know I love blue hour. So for long exposure photography, you're going to need a filter. This is supposed to be a 10 stop ND filter. It's not, it's actually a 13 stop, but you can stack filters. I've got a few filters in my little filter pouch there. You can stack filters, so I've got a 6 stop as well. I can stack with this, get 19 stops of light. And they're just going to sit on the beach and drink, fair enough. And to do long exposure photography, you're also going to need a way of calculating what your exposure will be after you put this in front of your camera, because all you're doing really is fooling your camera that it's darker out than it actually is, which means we can slow our shutter speed down to compensate, because all we're doing is looking to compensate our exposure triangle, if you want to think about it like that. So at the moment I've got an exposure in camera which is going to take exposure currently, but if I put this in front of it, obviously it's going to be too dark, because this is telling my lens that it's darker out. So what I can do is slow my shutter speed down quite a bit actually with this, even during the day like this, and get a pretty good long exposure. And I have done my calculations already. There's an app that I use, it's called Exposure Calculator. It's for Android, you can't get it on iPhone unfortunately. Sorry Margaret, I'm trying to, yeah, we're breaking up at times, am I? If it does kind of break up, stick with it, hopefully it'll pick back in. My signal's pretty good. Let's have a look. Yeah, my signal's pretty good, hopefully we're gonna continue. But if it does break out, guys, if the signal does go, stick with the stream, because it should pick itself back up. So the ND filter, yeah, it just fools your lens to thinking it's darker than it actually is. So what you can do is just slow your shutter speed down. It's going to get windy. Cool, that was a bit of wind. Oh, those guys are coming around here. It's going to get fun. So it's going to get windy. So hopefully the audio will be okay. Let me know if the audio gets too bad. And you then calculate what it's going to be. Now you can use exposure calculator. You could do it manually if you want. If you're that good at maths, you could try and do that. I've calculated that f22. I can put this on and get a 2-minute 44 second exposure out of my camera, which I've actually already done. I did it earlier on as a test, so I'm not going to do that again. But it will give you, on a day like this, it will smooth the water out, and it will give you, you know, if you've got any clouds in the sky, it will give you a bit of, try and get me focused again, it will give you a bit of the streaks across the sky. Unfortunately, there's not really much point in doing it at the moment, because there's no clouds in the sky, and it just is what it is. Where are those two going? This may cut short, by the way, just in case. I'll try and stay live as much as I can, but those two dinlos are coming around here. I get the impression they're pissed as a fart, so it may cut short. If you don't hear from me in the next couple of days, you know where I am. So I put this away just in case I have to make a run for it. Hang on a second, guys. I'm going to stay live. Don't go anywhere. I just have to move my bag, that's all. It's going to get a bit windy for a second. Alright, so don't go anywhere. You'll still see me, hopefully. I just want to be prepared in case these two kick off and I can make a run. And then we'll get back to it in a second. If they go, they go. Cool. We shall see. I'll keep my tripod out, because if anything happens, I'm going to just smash them over the head with the tripod. That's me being defensive, by the way. I won't do anything offensively. Just so you know. Let's get you back in there. Right. We back? How'd that go, guys? All right. All good, Paul. All good. They've gone straight past. Anyway, so what we're going to do next is talk about time lapses. Now, time lapses, you guys know I love a time lapse. Let me turn you around out of the sun. We're watching. Good. Cool. It's all good. They walk straight past. The time lapses are an awesome way to. I do a lot of video stuff, and I've had a question from Paul about this actually, so I'm going to talk about this in a little bit of depth. So I use time lapses in my videos because a time lapse isn't a picture, it's lots of pictures converted into video that portrays a certain amount of time. Now that time can be any time. It can be a time of a year, it can be the time of 10 minutes. It really doesn't matter. You and your time lapses, I know, right? So what I generally use time lapse for is for transitions in my videos. I'm not going to do a time lapse today, and the reason why I'm not going to do a time lapse today is because there's no one moving in the sky, and the water, although it's high tide, it is pretty still, so it wouldn't really make much of a difference for time lapse. What I could do is do a really long time lapse and show you the tide going out, because it would, over time, if I was going to sit here for 6 hours, show you the tide go down and back up again in about 20 seconds. So what you tend to, the way you're going to look at a time lapse is if I took a picture every 5 seconds for the next 6 hours, I can convert that into potentially a minute video. I love a good time lapse, yeah. Yeah, your time lapses are coming on really well, Paul. I like your time lapses. Yeah, so I use them as transition videos, and you can portray a certain amount of time. I saw a video not so long ago from a ship where they took a picture every day, just once a day, over, I think it was like a year, but it turned out, over a year, you get 360 images every day, obviously, give or take, and those images then convert into one frame of not a 10-1 yet, but love, yeah, cool, cheers, mate, yeah, you have to have a go, Davin. Each image converts into one frame of a potentially 24 frame a second video, and you're going to get like a 30-second video of all those 360 pictures put together, and you can portray even a year in 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So the amount of the time, the lapse of time between each picture doesn't really make a difference in a sense, but if you want to show something going across the sky really fast, you obviously expand the amount of time between pictures. So if I wanted to show a lot of movement in the lack of clouds today, because there's no clouds out there, but if I wanted to show clouds moving on a day where there's not a lot of wind, I'll potentially have to do a picture every 10 seconds, and stay out even longer. So you have to obviously stay out longer. I don't know if you saw the video I did of the Holy Grail time lapse I did from up on the hill last year. That took me 4 hours, and it turned out to be a 30-second video, or time lapse. But it just depends on what you want to portray. You should do that when your baby is born. Age and time lapse. Yeah, I want to do a time lapse. I saw one the other day. A guy's done a picture every day of his daughter for 20 years. So for the first 20 years of her life, he's made her stand in front of a camera and take a picture. That might happen. Might have to do that. It's the post-production it takes. It is the post-production. Yeah. So this coming on to Paul Stone's question that I had on Instagram earlier today, and that is, what's the post-processing like? And that is the hardest part, because the time lapse itself is relatively easy unless you're doing a day to night. I'll come on to that later. The Holy Grail thing is a bit different, but if I'm doing a time lapse today and my ambient exposure isn't going to change, my settings don't need to change in camera. That makes it really easy for a start, which means I can take a picture every 2, 3 or 4 seconds, whatever it's going to be, and you have to work that out yourself depending on what kind of movement you've got. But then you have to take those 300 or sometimes 600 images and then process those images, and that's where the hard part comes in. And generally it's a lot longer to process those images than it is to actually take them. I might have taken 3 hours to get all 600 images, but in fact it's probably going to take me a lot longer to process them, because I have to process the images in Lightroom first, because I like to do a Lightroom edit. That's not too bad really. It's just importing them all, especially on a camera that's got a really large sensor size or really large resolution. Importing all those pictures into Lightroom takes time, and then editing them in Lightroom. Generally doesn't take a long time because you can edit one. If the exposure's not going to change between all of them, then you edit one and just sync them across, right? We all know how to do that. That's the easy part. And then you have to export them out of Lightroom, and then you have to use something to process them into a video. Because like I said earlier on, a time lapse isn't a picture. A moving picture is a GIF or a GIF, whichever way you say it, whatever. And that's something completely different. Although that is kind of a video as well, but that's getting off piece. The video software I use is called Final Cut Pro, but the free version of that on Mac is called iMovie, which is in some ways even easier to, mega easy to use. I use Final Cut, which is a paid bit of program, because I do a lot of video work, and it means, I can just use that, and it just is what it is. But iMovie will work. You've got other things like Movie Maker, if you've got that on an old Windows system. You've got is it Fotolia? Paul, you tell me. It's the post-production takes time. Software, yeah. Paul, I think we did the time-lapse thing, and it was it. I can't remember the name of that bit of software, but I think initially it's free up to a certain degree. Then you have to pay like a £20 or £30 yearly subscription. I don't know. I can't remember, but there are a few free bits of software out there that do it. Photoshop does it, guys. You can do it in Photoshop. You don't have as much control in Photoshop, because in other bits of software I can sometimes a time lapse. If you've got steady shot, turn that off anyway, or any kind of stabilization, because you're on a tripod, you won't need it. But sometimes if you've got that, or you've got a bit of wind and you're did you say iMovie? Yeah, iMovie on iMac is fine, Margaret. I used to use it all the time. It's a lot easier than Final Cut. It's kind of the baby brother of Final Cut Pro. But I missed the question, Paul. It was that bit of software I told you about when we done the time lapse workshop. Can you remember what it was called? DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, Resolve will do it. Film Express is free. Not entirely sure. I think you can use. Yeah. iMovie is limited, Paul, but it still does a very good job. I used to use that all the time, actually. iMovie, it was one of the better ones that I had at the time. Yeah, DaVinci Resolve is okay. I think I used that a while ago. That's not too bad. There was another bit that looked like iMovie, but it was for Windows. I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, yeah, Photoshop can do it, Paul. You can use Photoshop to create a video, and you can create a video from. No, it's fine, Paul. It don't matter, mate. You can create a video from pictures, so you can stack your pictures and then create put them into the timeline in Photoshop. I'll have to do a video on it because it's not easy to explain in this setting. But if I did a video on it, I can actually show you by actually physically doing it on my computer. So yeah, it is possible, Paul. You can use Photoshop. It's not too difficult, but again, it's very limited in what you can do. It doesn't have stabilization, which is what I was trying to go to back just a minute ago before I got distracted. Other bits of software will stabilize your footage if you had any movement. So from one picture to the next, you might get a bit of a jump in certain parts of your video. You might need to get some paid software to do that. Photoshop can't do it. I don't know if iMovie can do it either, to be fair. Some of the free stuff out there might not be able to do it, but it's worth looking into some of the free stuff. Time lapses are awesome. I love time, as you all know. Time lapse is just, for me, I can record an entire video while I'm doing a time lapse. Yeah, video for using Photoshop would be great, mate. Yeah, I'll do that definitely. Dave Pro is great. Yeah, it's complicated. It is complicated. That's the reason why I don't use that. It's a lot cheaper than because I could just go with the Creative Suite and get the Adobe video software. Premiere. That's it. Premiere Pro. I can't. Yeah, Final Cut Pro for me is a very easy bit of software to use because I was used to iMovie, and this is pretty much the big brother of iMovie. I find that that's a lot easier for me. I did have a look at Premiere. I watched a load of videos on it as well, and I just find it too difficult to use. It's really complicated, so I tend to stick with Final Cut for that one. What a lovely day. I don't know where those two idiots have gone. They went straight past me down the end there. I think they're just looking for somewhere to drink or I don't know, something else. Who knows? Who knows? So Holy Grail time lapse. Holy Grail time lapse is from it's doing a time lapse from day to night or night to day, where your exposure constantly changes, and you can what's called exposure ramp in camera. The problem with that is if you use Photoshop, or if you use Final Cut or iMovie, when you put those images together in a video, you're going to see the jump in exposure, because as it gets darker, if you're doing a day to night one, and then you ramp the exposure to make it lighter again in camera, you're going to see that jump. There is a bit of software out there that takes care of that. It's very complicated to use. It costs about 220 quid, I think it is, and it's called LR Timelapse. Really good bit of kit. I watched loads of videos on it. I was tempted to buy it until someone showed me an easy way of getting around it. And if you watch my video on my Holy Grail time lapse, it shows you what's the audio like, guys. It's getting a bit windy down here. Is the audio okay? Yeah, it's called LR time lapse, Lima Romeo time lapse, and what it does is it actually goes through your entire set of images. It exposure ramps and bumps the exposure back down in certain places so that transitions through. But there's an easy way of doing it otherwise. So when I do a time lapse from day to night, I'll do my time lapse in stages. So I'll do one time lapse of maybe 300 images. Do the next one where I've ramped it down. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, still great. Good. Audio's good. It's really windy down here. I'm surprised this audio is good. This is a new phone, by the way. The audio on this phone is incredible. And then I'll do another set of time lapses at a different exposure, then another set of time lapses at a different exposure. So I'm always keeping that exposure. And what I do is I process those individual parts, those individual sort of sets by themselves in my video, and then I'll overlay sort of like 2 or 3 seconds of it, and kind of grade it in as such. And if you watch my my Holy Grail time lapse from up on the hill, that's what I did with that. I didn't use our time lapse. You'll see the ships that come in and out, they kind of ghost away and stuff like that. That's kind of the drawback. If you've got anything moving like cars or anything like that, you will see a little bit of ghosting there. But let me just check my battery life down to 70%. So it looks like I've ran one of my battery packs down so far. So I'll have to get the other one put on in a minute. So yeah, so I mean, time lapses, I love a good time lapse. Is that okay? The coat keeps jumping. The wind is just dragging my coat off the phone, so I'm just a little bit worried about the audio. So yeah, time lapse is great. I'm going to be looking at doing a time lapse workshop. I don't know how I'm going to deliver that yet, online. So if I use this bit of software called Zoom, it's like a conferencing software. I don't know whether I can show you my screen as well as video and audio. I don't know how that works yet. I'm looking into it. I'm looking at ways of delivering these kind of workshops, virtually rather than physically, because I think over the next coming months, it's just getting really hard. I need to do something to sort of get a bit of cash rolling in, but it is what it is. I'm looking at various bits of software. I can't remember who it was who put me onto Zoom. Someone put me onto Zoom the other day. Paul Baker, I think it was yourself, mate. I did look at it. Was it yourself or was it someone else? I can't remember. I speak to so many people. Final Cut Pro is £300 a purchase. Do you know if they do monthly subscription? I don't know if they do, Paul, to be fair. I don't know if they do. When I got it, it was only 200. So I don't know why the price has just zoomed right up. Probably because people are starting to buy it, supply and demand. Everyone's hyping their prices at the moment for stuff like that, because everyone's at home and wants to do something. But it was $199 when I bought it before, unless that's the Windows version you're looking at, because I know they've got a version for Windows. But if you buy it on iMac or on MacBook, you get it through the what do you call it? I'm sure it was only $199 when I got it. Yeah, worth looking into. Other softwares are available. No monthly subscription. No, I didn't think there was, Ben. No, you're right, mate. I didn't think there was. One of them things. But for me, guys, $299 was it? Okay. I swore it wasn't that much. I swore it wasn't that. Don't tell the missus. Mine, I bought it a long time ago. Mac. Okay. Strange. I could have sworn it was $199 when I bought it. I'll have to look at on my tax return to see what I think for it. Anyway, yeah, time lapses are pretty darn awesome things to do. They just take a long time. That's the problem. Just allow for the time. If you can imagine the videos I create, what, sometimes 10 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer sometimes. The amount of work that goes into a time lapse, which is only 20 seconds of that, is actually crazy. But you know, it's what we like to do. Keeps the passion alive and all that. So I'm just looking at seeing where these numpties are. Well, I keep hearing something. It might just be me. I'm getting paranoid again. You've got a little bit of movement of clouds. I don't know if you see. Oh, you can't see. It's up here. You're seeing over there, aren't you? Yeah, I'm looking up here. There's a few clouds up there. It is what it is. Are there any other questions? Have we got any other bits and pieces that people want me to go over? Maybe I should purchase that. And not this one. Yeah. How much was your Wacom, by the way? I bought one years ago. I think I paid about 30 quid for it. And like I said to you, Paul, the other day, I didn't really use it very much because I like to be mobile on the laptop. I'm just too used to the trackpad. I don't really use the Wacom tablets and stuff like that anymore. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get my thing back up. Have you ever used LR Timelapse? No, I haven't, Paul. I haven't used it, mate. Sorry if that's doing no good. I'm just trying to get my thing sorted. Paul, no. Sorry, Paul Stone, I didn't, mate. I didn't use it. I've watched a lot of videos on it. Have a look on YouTube. There are a lot of videos on how to use it. In fact, the creator of LR Timelapse on their website has done an absolute really awesome video on how to use it. It's really tricky. There's a lot of back and forwards in and out of Lightroom. By the way, the LR in that doesn't stand for Lightroom apparently. I thought it would do, but it doesn't. But you have to go kind of back and forwards from Lightroom into LR Timelapse and back again and then back again. And it's a very complicated process, but it does a very, very good job. That used to be free. Well, LR Timelapse used to be free. Nah, really? 315 for a Wacom. I bought a tablet years ago, mate. I'm probably a third-party one, but it was only like 30 odd quid, I think. Blimey. Mentioned above, DaVinci Resolve is free, but does 90 to 100% of. Yeah, you're right, Paul. DaVinci is quite good, actually. DaVinci is good. Wow. God, I've had it if it was free, Paul. Trust me. If you ever see our Timelapse free, buy it or get it, buy it. You know, purchase it. But I think at the moment, what's it at the moment? Anyone Google that? I think it's still at about 200 quid, isn't it? But it does a really good job though. It's the large one. Oh, you got the, yeah, okay, cool. Pay a bit extra for the larger stuff. Who misses? Anyway, the LR Timelapse is quite good. I've seen a lot of videos, but like I say, go on the website. The creator of it has actually done a really, really sterling job of putting a video together on how to use it and what to do. The steps are fairly simple. I think it's just, I say simple. It's complicated. You're in and out of Lightroom, and you kind of go in order. So you do one thing, then down the list you do the next thing and stuff like that. So it's not too bad, and the output is pretty amazing when you've got a lot of, you know, exposure ramping and stuff in your pictures. You do pretty damn good job. Has anyone got any other questions or anything else they want to ask while we're live? And we'll start looking at wrapping this up in a second. Anything else? It's been a really nice day. I'm just going to get home and, to be honest, I just want to get the walk back and get home. And it's quite windy down here and cold and stuff. I need to put my jacket on currently. Thanks, Ben, for looking at that. Yeah. I'm going to get my jacket on because I'm cold. So I'm probably going to wrap it up there, guys. It's been an hour. I'd like to have done a bit more. I'm hoping to get out as soon as, you know, everything's lifted and everyone's okay. Stay safe. You know, if anyone's got anything, if any questions you need answering, anything like that, you know, you can find me all over social media, here on YouTube. Do panorama shots. I'm doing landscapes. Absolutely, Ben. Always do panoramas, mate. Panoramas are fantastic. The only thing you really need to know with panoramas, once you've got a setup, is hold your exposure. And you do possible when you Yeah, I don't know when my landscapes are going to start up again, Margaret, as yet. But I'm going to try and look at delivering stuff. €249. Yeah, so that's about right then. So yeah, Paul. Sorry, Ben. Panorama shots. You want to make sure that everything's in manual, mate, because if you've got things like your white balance changes throughout the panorama, you're going to have a very weird and wonderful time editing your image later. But Lightroom does a really good job of stitching them together. As long as you've got about 30% of your previous image in your next one, Lightroom will do a really good job. Just make sure everything's manual, get a manual focus, get manual white balance. Tend to, during the day like this, just go for day. Most camera systems do a day white balance, and you won't go too far wrong, mate. Put it in Lightroom, highlight them, right click, merge photo panorama, and then you're done well. It will pump one out, and then you can do your edit after that. One thing I tend to do is my lens corrections before I stitch them together, because sometimes if you've got a lens that gives you a lot of vignette around the outside of your composition, from your vignette from one image may crop into the next one, and then the next one, you'll have about, depending on how many pictures you do, you might have a dark area, lines going down your image, or up if you do a vertical panorama. Yeah, but love panoramas, mate. Always like to do panoramas. What was the other thing? Do if possible, when you're doing your landscape workshop, that was cancelled. I don't know where my next landscape workshop's going to be, Margaret. I have postponed them and put some new dates on, but they may get postponed again, so I'm not actually taking any bookings at the moment. Like I said, I'm going to try and deliver some of my photography virtually like this if I can. If I can do it indoors, even better. But I just don't know how it's all going to pan out yet. I just want to make sure everyone's safe. Nice having you, mate. Yeah, cheers, Paul. Cheers. Yeah, I like to be in your lounge, mate. I've been there in ages. Yeah, guys and girls, stay safe. Stay indoors if you can. And if you go out, keep your social distancing, wash your hands, all that kind of stuff. I've been picking up stones. Lots and lots of stones. So I'm going to wipe my hands in a minute before I do anything else. And I am then going to pack away all my stuff. Here's me wiping my hands. Look. Yeah, cheers, Jay. Cheers for coming on. Thanks for the questions, guys and girls. If I can do anything, Dave, cheers, mate. You stay safe too. If I can do anything at all virtually, I'll start doing them. Cheers, Paul Stone. And if you've got anything that you want me to do virtually, if you've got any ideas, throw them at me. You can find me all over social media. You know where you can find me. Margaret, cheers. Akash, thanks, mate. Guys, just stay safe. All right, just stay safe and stay indoors if you can. And hopefully we'll see you on the other side of this. It's going to be a different world when we come out the other side of this, and we're all going to be hopefully, doing okay. And I'd like to see you all again at some point in the future. See you in a bit, Charlie Button. Love you. That's my missus, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. Davin, been a pleasure, mate. See you soon. Hope to see you on the workshop soon. Thanks, Margaret. Take care, guys. I'm signing off. Take it easy. Oh, and if you're watching this, in a little while, I'll have a video up on the behind the scenes. Cheers, Nathan. Yeah, keep in touch, Paul. Take care, mate. Ta. I'm going off. If I can find out how to go off. Are you sure you want to stop the streaming? Yeah! See you later.